Hello and welcome to the ID Talk podcast. My name is Tony Bedzionis. I'm here once again with my good friends, Mr. Dave Barkley and Mr. Alex Perala. Hello, fellas.
Hey, Tony.
Hey Tony, happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. And we are joined today by our good friend, the globe-trotting editor for IdentityWeek.net, Evie Kim Singh. Evie, welcome back to the show. Um, I guess to start us off, we're about 2 months and a few days away from Identity Week Europe, a show that we attended last year and that we're very excited to come back to this year. How is it going in the run up to that? I imagine it's full steam ahead right now.
Hi, Alex, Tony, Dave. It's great to be back on the podcast. Thank you so much for having me back. It is, as you can imagine, in full swing. Very, very busy time with t 10 weeks out now until our next show. I think it's my fifth edition with the team. As you know, the
Wow.
team's a really solid foundation to this event
Yeah.
that we've been running in the Rye in Amsterdam in June. This is actually our 20th year running the show. It was in London before that. And every year it gets better and better. It gets stronger. The attendee turnout and the speakers and the experts we have on board just gets stronger. And we have such great relationships that make that happen. We've also got a great team that kind of drive the momentum in promoting the event. But to be honest, we've got an industry that knows each other very, very well.
Mm.
Um, there's lots of networking going on throughout the year, really. And then it gets to this time, and LinkedIn is flooded with posts about the show and sharing it with their peers. And that's really great to see, after all this time, all this hard work, that the identity industry really values the platform that we provide. And it's become really recognized as one of the leading events in the space to network, to kind of present new ideas, innovations around the technologies and the policies that go into providing secure technologies to protect data, protect identities, and defeat fraudsters. So it's great to be back for another year.
Now, Evie, I was able to go to Identity Week Washington, and this year will be my first one at Identity Week Amsterdam. What are the some of the differences I can expect in terms of like what the city's like and the atmosphere in Amsterdam compared to how Identity Week America was?
Oh, I think it's fair to say it's quite different across the continents, right? So, America's usually quite sunny and warm. June time is lovely for our event. It really is. It kind of brings it all together. It's not the main reason people come, but it's certainly um, a nice opportunity to make the travel, to make the trip, to see everyone there. It's like seeing old friends really in the industry. And then we have 2 amazing days full of networking, full of opportunity. And people come away with plenty of leads. We have that every year. And then of course, we've got our drink reception at the end of day one that you guys have been there. And the atmosphere is
Sure have.
electric. It's really friendly. Um, you can feel the palpable excitement about where the industry is heading. Um, but it generates a lot of leads, and that is the main thing that people kind of go there for. They've been working for months and months on new projects, some of which, I'll share with you today. We're having conversations with people throughout the year about kind of what they're working on, what they'll be presenting on to the whole ecosystem. And when it comes to those 2 days in June, it's just an opportunity to see what everyone's doing, and kind of collaborate on a meaningful level.
Yeah, the venue is really nice as well. I'll just add the Rye. Dave, you and I had a great time in DC. but it's got like it really feels like DC there. Whereas in Identity Week Europe, the Rye is like such a huge open space.
With
Uh,
skylights and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
skylights and
There's
everything.
like
It's a really
pink
like
pink carpet
warm,
everywhere.
sunny vibe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Evie, I wanted to ask you, like, you at the top kind of framed the event really well. It is, to my mind, it's like it's the big event of the identity industry. But how would you explain this event to people outside of this industry? Like, it's kind of hard for me to explain the industry itself to my friends. And so how would you like, if you were trying to tell a friend of yours who doesn't know about the identity industry about this like huge event, how would you explain it to them?
I think it's grounded in innovations to do with mainly digital identity, which we know is being adopted at scale, especially across Europe, with all the ID initiatives on a national level. Um, that's huge. There's so many, it gets debated, but there's so many benefits to digital ID that our industry genuinely believes in. And then it's fine-tuning things like how we mainly going to protect our citizens and our users using it and thinking about privacy and data and interoperability of kind of the infrastructure that we've already got in place and the usability on an everyday level. So it might seem quite niche and there's lots of technical terms thrown around, but at the end of the day, when we sit and listen to these really kind of knowledgeable experts on this topic, it's kind of simplified down to those essential, relatable themes, which are, we want to be able to protect ourselves, protect our data, company or individual data, our identities, intrinsically linked to the human. And that's what those solutions really enable. And we're talking about biometrics, a lot of the biometric facial recognition technology, um, how documents are designed, with really detailed, complex features that enable them to be secure, enable us to travel across different countries, in our personal lives to limit and reduce the amount of fraud and crime associated with identity. Um, and so I think when you think about it and how it relates to all of us, that is that is the objective, really for everyone who attends. It is to protect um, people and to innovate digitally our communities and our society as a whole. And this is something that's coming on leaps and bounds. So everyone will have a digital identity, have access to one, the way that they interact with governments, with private sector services, it all has to be looked at for safety and security. And then you've got regulations protecting those services. So I would explain it
It's like a
really as
forum.
Yeah.
it's a forum, yeah. It's a place, a meeting place for the people who are obviously leading the innovations, but it's being looked at on every level of the delivery down to the user.
Yeah.
Um, and it's yeah, there are more technical terms to kind of throw out there, but it's looking at access, IM, privileged access, um, biometrics linked and bound to the individual, not the
Mhm.
identity credential. It's yeah, there's so much to it, but
I
also it can be simplified down to looking at our cybersecurity, fraud prevention,
mhm.
and there's so many different types of fraud these days, from phishing, um, you know, it's it's really important that we have these forums
Yeah.
so that we can deliver for individual people.
Mhm.
I yeah, I recently had that experience that I think we've all had where you're trying to explain your job or the industry to somebody, and it was a friend that I hadn't really seen in quite a while. And so he was in town, we got together for a beer and we started talking about work. And I did my best to give like the kind of intro 101 to what it is that like the digital identity biometrics security space is. And I think it did kind of like hit home with him when I talked about the individual as opposed to like the abstract idea of cybersecurity or digital security. And then, and I'm not just saying this because he was like, "Oh, so like, what do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. We do news and we do podcasts and but we also go to these shows." And he's like, "Well, what's a show like that like?" And I said, "Well, it's fun. Like you go and you're basically walking around having conversations with people, and people there representing companies doing like a pretty varied like spectrum of services or products or technologies that they're offering, but it's all kind of converging in these one in these shows that are just like a lot of fun to go to. And I think that was like the best job I ever did of explaining not only like my job but the industry to somebody that I know, where I didn't end with me saying like, "Don't worry about it. It's fine." Like it's I'm not doing a good job, but don't worry about it. Because he was like, "Oh, this is really interesting," and then he reached out to me a couple of days later on text, and he had checked out our site and he'd listened to a couple episodes, and he's like, "This is really interesting stuff," and I was like, "Oh, okay, great, good job, Tony." But I do owe a lot of credit to Identity Week and specifically Europe, as you said, because we have made we've gotten leads through it, and we've made really good friends through like one friend that we made at the first show we went to. Literally, I was texting with him yesterday, sending WhatsApps back and forth. So it is just such an exciting show, and I'm excited for Dave to get to experience it for the first time as well. I know that we're really looking forward to checking out some of the kind of features of the show this year. Is there anything that jumps out to you, Evie, right away as something that you're most excited for this year's edition?
Oh, there's so many things. Yes, I forgot that Dave hadn't come to Europe.
Mhm.
He's been to America. First of all, I think just to say the show this year is on the 9th and 10th of June at the Rye, obviously in Amsterdam. It's every year there are nuances in kind of what's taking the lead, what topics are slightly higher on the agenda to discuss. And I think personally, from the work I've been doing throughout the year, it's AI is coming, how it fits in with everything is really interesting. Um, but
Mhm.
also, I mean, there's so many topics looking at um, digital ID and the future of finance, identity hygiene, identity resilience, and
Mhm.
focusing on this idea of prevention, but also dealing with crises as they emerge. And there's lots of kind of, we see that in the news, lots of breaches for different reasons, because there's different vulnerabilities that these hackers and attackers are exploiting. And for companies to really understand their strategies and kind of in the moment of crisis, having that clarity of what needs to be done. We have lots of experts who are knowledgeable about that. And some solutions are using the prevention, some are looking at resilience and accepting that actually these threats are always going to be there, they're always going to be advancing, and it's how we deal with them. Um, yeah, the topics of access management, privileged access management, which I find interesting. Um, there's a whole range. I like talking about the biometric pilots to kind of advance border innovation. I think that's really interesting. I've conducted interviews this year with the Police and Border Guard Board, where they're looking at innovative pilot programs to gather facial and fingerprint biometrics within kind of e-residency programs. I never stop learning in this role, and I think it's because there's always something happening. Um, but yeah, I mean, just to give you a taster of some of those speakers and some of those conversations I've already had, where they've said, no, there's lots going on. We're going to be talking about this in June. Um, yeah, it's fascinating. Got several speakers kind of um, who I've had conversations with. Michelle Wilson, who's now part of Blue Cavalry Solutions, Stephen Chapman, who's kind of like a figurehead for the industry and Identity Week. He's always kind of promoting the show, which is amazing. And he was in government, the HMPO, sorry. Um, and he's now retired, but he does lots of work on international standards and kind of looking at what are we still missing to support national ID systems. Yeah, it's just fascinating to speak to and an honor really to speak to people who are in this industry who are constantly looking at how can we evolve.
Yeah, on that note, I was looking at the speaker list for the event coming up, and it really is like a range. It's a very interesting range of people. So obviously at these kinds of events, you want to hear from people who are working at some of the top companies in the space. Like you need to hear what they're working on, but it isn't just like vendors giving talks. It's like going through the list, there's like the head of IT policy and strategy for Estonia, the Ministry of the Interior. And Estonia is like one of the most cutting edge
Yeah.
countries in terms of adopting digital ID. So like that'll be super interesting. Dutch Railways has their CISO there, and head of IM for Commercial Bank of Qatar is going to be talking. Like it's such an interesting mix of people with different kind of like angles, points of view, looking at kind of the same core problem of identity in some really high profile positions.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we look at, the CISOs, um, the C-level speakers, uh, who tend to be kind of leading these projects. And we've got a lot of speakers who come to our America show and are leading kind of top of the agenda for that. And then they come over to Europe and vice versa. Um, so yeah, but Europe is the hub that everyone wants to kind of be part of. That is the show. Um, and yeah, as you said, those people are involved. We've got a mix of people who've attended and spoken before. We've got some new faces, such as Richard Bromley, who's head of fraud and disputes at Monzo. I'll be speaking to him next week. Jason Innes, director of airport operations at Blue Murder Skyport. It's yeah, there's loads of people involved, spanning the travel sector, finance, healthcare, e-commerce, um, government. We have a good delegation of people from all of those industries and private and public sector.
You've got
And
someone from IKEA, which is
Oh,
that's exciting too.
yeah,
the furniture store?
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely looking at their um IM and how this comes into some of them because some of the job titles you think how does this relate
Yeah.
but yeah they're part of it every year and it's really interesting. Lorena Roman, who's from a bank, um, looking at my list, it just goes on and on.
Mm.
Graham Cam, UK Home Office biometrics program, I had the honour to interview him a couple of years ago. It's really important that we have kind of a wide spectrum because obviously everyone's there to meet buyers, peers, new business partners. So focusing on really the whole ecosystem is really important to us.
Maybe speaking of networking, like you're just mentioning, uh, I'm gonna plan on be doing a lot of networking there, but sometimes I'm a little shy. Do you have any like tips on like how best to network with people? Should I just wait until the drinks part at the end of the day?
That is definitely an important part of the day, so to make sure you're there. Um, and in all seriousness, that is important networking. It's part of it is social interaction. Um, and it appeals to everyone to kind of be there face to face. We're lucky to do that, as we know from the pandemic. It is important to see people that you want to meet in person, because you suddenly go, oh, that's the person I've been reaching out to on LinkedIn. Um, but during the 2 days, they're long 2 days, you will have a lot of conversations, and it's really important. The advice I'd give to you is to walk around the show. That is, you know, get some good trainers, and walk around and introduce yourself and speak to as many people as you can, because um, we have lots of areas. We have our kind of obviously our stands expo. Stands for companies that who have paid to be there. We've got our conference theatres where you're welcome to obviously participate in Q&As after sessions, go up to our keynote speakers, our top level speakers, and then find them throughout the day, because they will be there all day talking to people. And I know so many, have flights sometimes, and they're trying to get out the door, and they get stopped and approached by people. So that is the best way to do business at our forum.
Do
Um,
they miss their flights?
don't think so. I don't think I've had that complaint, but yeah, it's whether you're in the cafes or you're in the aisles, it's and you'll find this. It's just you can go up to people. There's no kind of barrier to that, because everyone's there to have those conversations, um, and that's the best way to do it.
Excellent.
I think
And
that's good
Alex,
advice.
trainers are running shoes in Canada.
Oh, okay. So I
Call them
shouldn't bring
trainer.
my personal trainer with me.
No, like you
No.
could,
Oh,
like Tony's right here, but
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good advice, Evie. The drinks are critical in my opinion. But yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I just want to complain about something to illustrate the importance of this conversation. I went to rent a car on the weekend for a very short trip. And I went to the same car rental company I always go to. I have an account with them. I gave them my driver's license and my credit card. And they were like, "Do you have another piece of ID?" And I was like, no. Like, why do I like I didn't have my passport with me. I wasn't leaving the country or anything. And I took out my phone. I had my old digital vaccination card from the pandemic days. And I was like, I have this, like, it's got my name on it. And he was like, "Nah, I don't know if I can accept that." I was like, I had to present this to people for
Yeah,
a certain period.
yeah.
So
that was a crucial ID. Yeah, I remember
yeah,
that.
so it's crazy that in a span of a few years, this critical piece of digital ID is now sort of rejected
Mhm.
arbitrarily. I ended up getting my card, so nobody
okay,
worried.
good.
But yeah, we need a discussion about this topic in general, about digital ID, about like what's official ID. They were controlling my access to my car, and we need to we need to have standards. Anyway, I just
Yeah.
wanted to complain. Tony, you can cut this after if you want, Tony.
No,
But
no. The last time we had like a provincial election here in Ontario, I went to vote to my local whatever polling station or voting station, and I brought with me my provincial health card. In Canada, we have like the health card issued by the government of Ontario with my photo on it and everything, and something that had my address on it, and that wasn't enough because I
mm,
don't have a driver's license. I didn't have my passport. So the fact that the provincial photo ID, what and you know a bill from a bank or something that had my name and address on it wasn't enough to vote, I was like, oh my God, this would not be happening in 2025. I guess it was last year.
Mhm.
If the industry would just was listened to a little bit more, or the average voter or the average person, certainly in this part of the world, was aware of the sort of technologies and conversations being had elsewhere that aim to solve problems exactly like that. Or, you know, Alex wouldn't have had to steal a rental car if we just had some stuff in place. So these
Yeah,
people should be coming to Identity Week Europe and sitting down and having conversations with people.
Yeah,
absolutely.
right on.
And and then they'll see the direction that we're going down. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. There was a massive effort in COVID to facilitate kind of um, ID and logging into those
Yeah.
services. So yeah, definitely.
All right, so don't miss the conversation this year. Go to Identity Week Europe. Evie, do you want to urge people in any particular direction? Should they be checking identityweek.net, or what should people do to figure out how to attend?
So yeah, go to Identity Week Europe 2026 to our website. If you're on LinkedIn, search it up on LinkedIn and go and look at the ticket options. We do have free passes for buyers of identity solutions and services. Um, so that's covering kind of um, travel, all kind of industries. Um, Government, and yeah, and there's some paid options as well. So look at the ticket options, the logistics of kind of the days we're running the show, the 9th and 10th of June, and I hope to see you there.
All right. Thanks, Evie. See you all in Europe.